Hello everyone, my name is Vanessa and the name of my channel is called Gnostic Knowledge. And what I am doing on this channel is reading from a book. The name of that book is called Letters and Numbers, and it is written by Zachary K. Hubbard. Letters and Numbers is about gematria. Gematria is the encoding of numbers within our letters and words. So, every word we speak has a numerical value, and once you learn this code, you'll understand so much more of what our history has been and how it's been orchestrated by this code of letters and numbers. You can get a copy of this book by visiting Zachary K. Hubbard's YouTube channel, Gematria Effect News and Gematria Effect Sports. And in the description box of each video that he produces, he leaves a link for you to purchase the book. The book is priced at $5, the best $5 you'll ever spend in your life, because the information contained in the book, Letters and Numbers, you won't get this information anywhere else, and that is just the honest truth. You just will not. And so, I mean, $5, you cannot beat it. So the book is in a PDF file format. So once you pay for the book, you will get it via email. So be sure to save the file, Letters and Numbers, somewhere safe on your computer, your tablet, your iPad, your iPhone, or whichever device you're going to be using to read the book. Be sure to save the file. Also, Zachary K. Hubbard left the copyright off this book, so you can take it to a local bindery and have it bound into a book for your own personal library, or you can upload it to lulu.com and they will bind it into a book for you and mail it back to you as well for a reasonable fee. You can also print the book out and create your own book if you like. You know, there's 773 pages in this book, and as phenomenal as this information is, it is a shame that it is being suppressed so bad, or either that the people that you share this information with refuse to understand it. And it is a code. There's no denying that the powers that shouldn't be, they are operating by a code. The system we live under is by this code. The United States was established by this code. This code goes all the way back to Babylon. It is undeniable what is going on as far as what we get through our media, how history is orchestrated. I mean, you just have to read the information. You don't have to take my word for it. Read the book yourself, or listen to the chapters I've read so far. As I've said, I've read from chapter 1 up to chapter 18 for people maybe who are too busy to read at the time, or someone who would rather listen to an audio book. And like I said, I don't have the best voice for reading. I know that, but this information is that phenomenal that this is my way of trying to spread this information, and every human being on earth should know this information. Okay, and Zachary K. Hubbard has written another book pertaining to gematria, and it is called Number Games, and this book right now is available for you to pre-order on Amazon. You can pre-order the book now on Amazon, and it has been placed on Amazon's bestseller list, and the book will be releasing on October 13th, and that's a number to 113. But Zach, this book is awesome, and I'm really hoping that the powers that shouldn't be aren't pulling your leg with that. And for those who don't want to order this book on Amazon, you can go directly to Zachary K. Hubbard's blog page, gematriaeffectnews.blogspot.com, and the first thing you'll see when you arrive at that page is the advertising for the book Number Games. And as you scroll down, you'll see the instructions on how to purchase the book within the United States and abroad. If you become a Patreon of Zachary K. Hubbard, you can get both books via PDF file by joining the $1 tier per month. And it is just amazing that the book is this inexpensive, but the information is that important, and that is why he's trying to keep it at a price where every human that speaks English can have access to this information, because we need it. We need it. We need it. And I'm so glad to have it, and I'm so glad to know it, regardless of the people that I've encountered. That is just, man, what can you say? You want to tell you that, this stuff is not legitimate, and it is. It really is. But don't take my word for it. You read the information for yourself. So, with that said, I am going to continue reading in chapter 18, as I mentioned earlier. Chapter 18 begins on page 485. Well, it doesn't begin on 485. I am continuing in chapter 18 from 485. But the title of this chapter is called How the Media Programs the Purposeful Race Wars. And this would be the second reading of this book. So, without further ado, I'm going to get started. And the next person we're reading about is Eric Garner. And I will start with the headline. All right. Eric Garner case is settled by New York City for $5.9 million. Okay. On July 17th, 2014, racism by the numbers would strike again with the killing of Eric Garner, whose family eventually settled for $5.9 million, not too far off from 5.9. On July 13th, 2015, a date that can be written 13/7, much like 137, the 33rd prime. Let us examine the date of his death, which connects to the word death plus Freemasonry. As we decode, keep in mind that Mason has gematria of 17, and 17 is the 7th prime, much like how the G, the 7th letter, is in the middle of the Freemason logo, representing 7 and 42. So, as for the date, it was 7/17/2014. You would add 7 plus 7 plus 20 plus 14. That equates to 58. 7, 17, 14. When added together, 7 plus 17 plus 14, that equates to 38. Eric Garner equates to 42 in the septenary cipher. One of the curious details in the story was the t-shirt the officer was wearing, who choked out Eric Garner and was responsible for the reported death. And I'm going to show you the t-shirt of the officer right now as he's choking Eric Garner. Okay? Alrighty, and you can also look at the date decode up there as well. And here we go. Okay. On his t-shirt was the number 99, which when flipped upside down can also represent the number 66. As you know, New York is the 11th state where this incident happened, and when you add 1 through 11 together, it totals 66, a number symbolizing homicide in ordinal gematria. As we decode, know that this happened in Tompkinsville, Staten Island, also equating to 99 in reduction. So, as stated, Tompkinsville, Staten Island equates to 99 in reduction cipher. Garner equates to 99 in reverse ordinal. Garner equates to 213 in the Jewish cipher. Okay. He says, I'll save some investigation work for you by letting you decode the officer's name. Daniel Pantaleo, and the word chokehold. Keep in mind that when you write out 13, it has gematria of 45 and 99. That reminder should help you connect the dots with Daniel and the wrestling move that reportedly ended Garner's life. And Daniel Pantaleo's last name is spelled Pantaleo. Okay, moving along. Also adding to the riddles in the media by the same code on January 29th, 2016, it would be reported that a 42-year-old mother in Detroit named Erica Garner was killed while picking up her son from basketball practice, a story playing on obvious stereotypes. Notice the ordinal gematria of the name Erica Garner, summing to 99. Also, keep in mind the killing date was said to be January 27, 2016, a date with numerology of 44 and 64, where both represent kill, and 44 syncs with the reverse reduction gematria of 64. And I think there may be a little discrepancy there. He might have meant to add something else there, but I am going to read the headline next to here, and this is by CNN, and it says, Erica Garner put her 11-year-old son into a basketball program to keep him on the right path. She was there every night to pick him up after practice. But what happened to the Detroit mother Wednesday night has shocked the city's police and residents. Enough is enough. This is a crisis that needs to stop, Detroit Police Chief James Craig told reporters. Police say Garner, 42, was shot during an attempted carjacking on the city's east side. The incident took place outside the Michigan Light Guard Armory, where she worked as a custodian, according to CNN affiliate WDIV. Okay. So, Erica Garner equates to 99 in ordinal. Erica equates to 99 in reverse ordinal. The date 1/27/2016. When you add 1 plus 27 plus 20 plus 16, it equates to 64. 1/27/16. 1 plus 27 plus 16 equates to 44. Detroit equates to 44 in reverse reduction. Kill equates to 44 in ordinal and 64 in reverse ordinal. One last point on Eric Garner. He was said to be born September 15th, 1970, making him 43 years old at the time of his death. 60 days shy of being 44, where the word nigger has ordinal gematria of 60, same with police. As for his date of birth, it can be written 15/9, similar to 159, which corresponds with the reverse ordinal gematria of 159, or the ordinal gematria of black men, which equates to 159, like it says. Okay, on September 15th, 2017, the media would feature headlines of police officer found not guilty of killing black man, without giving names or details, just focusing on race. And I'm going to read that headline to you right now. And it states, ex-St. Louis cop found not guilty in fatal shooting of black man. Okay, and of course, like it says, black man equates to 159 in reverse ordinal cipher. Following the death of Eric Garner, the next major media incident to focus on racial injustice, where a member of law enforcement was responsible for the killing of an unarmed black youth, was the shooting of 18-year-old Michael Brown of Ferguson, Missouri. And the word race, or R-A-C-E, equates to 18 in the reverse reduction cipher. In the reduction cipher. Sorry about that. Race equates to 18 in the reduction cipher. It was because of this incident that I grabbed the attention of many people in the truth-seeking community. Having been studying the patterns of race wars by the numbers for more than a year before this occurred, the way I got the attention of many people was by putting out a video showing the history of race war propaganda by the numbers and stating that when the police officer was to be released, who was responsible for the killing of Michael Brown, his name would sum to 33 in the reduction method of gematria. And I misread that, so let me reread this one more time so I put it in context. The way I got the attention of many people was by putting out a video showing the history of race war propaganda by the numbers and stating that when the name of the police officer was to be released, who was responsible for the killing of Michael Brown, his name would sum to 33 in the reduction method of gematria. Sure enough, the name came out, and it was Darren Wilson, equating to 33. Adding insult to injury was the image the media released of him wearing a St. Louis Blues t-shirt with the number 42 on it, accompanying his blonde hair and blue eyes. And I am going to show you that shirt right now. And that is Darren Wilson, and you can clearly see he has on the 42 Blues hockey shirt. And I definitely remember that news story when it came out. I definitely do. Alrighty. As we decode, notice that Ferguson and Missouri both sum to 42. And let us not forget that the word blues has gematria of 59, like Negro and kill. And so the name Darren equates to 33 in reduction. Police equates to 33 in reduction. Race war equates to 33 in reduction. Michael equates to 33 in reduction. Ferguson equates to 42 in reduction. Missouri equates to 42 in reduction. Darren Wilson equates to 44 in the Chaldean cipher. And officer equates to 44 in reduction. This incident was similar to the Sean Bell shooting in New York City, November 25th, 2006, and the killing of Amadou, and I'm going to spell that because I remember this story as well, but I may be saying his name incorrectly. But his name is Amadou Diallo, and that is spelled Amadoudiallo. Anyway, he was killed February 4th, 2009, also in New York City. Both dates had clear connections to 42. And as you recall, NYC also shares gematria of 42. As we decode, keep in mind that Darren Wilson would be acquitted November 25th, 2014, the 8-year anniversary of the killing of Sean Bell, which is the common outcome in all of these stories for the police to be found free of wrongdoing. So, Amadou Diallo equates to 42 in the Chaldean cipher. February 4th can be expressed as 4-2. The name Sean, S-E-A-N, equates to 42. And also the date 11/25/06, when added together, 11 plus 25 plus 06, that equates to 42. NYC equates to 42 in the ordinal cipher. Sean Bell equates to 223 in the English Extended Cipher. As for the shooting of Michael Brown, it came on August 9th, 2014, the 221st day of the year, leaving 144 days left. At this point, you should know both of those numbers by heart. And of course, the date 89 is a lot like 89, a number symbolizing chaos. Again, the agenda is order out of chaos, and in the wake of the shooting, the news media and government would help provoke a riot in Ferguson, including the burning and looting of buildings where people were truly bussed in and paid to create the damage that was done. Something that had been done before and numerous times since. Let us now examine the gematria of Michael Brown more carefully, seeing how it syncs with 89, the date. Okay? So, Michael equates to 89 in the ALW Kabbalah cipher. Chaos equates to 89 in reverse ordinal. Michael Brown equates to 60 in the reduction cipher. Nigger equates to 60 in the ordinal cipher. Michael Brown equates to 84 reverse reduction. E counted as 22. Ferguson, Missouri equates to 84 in the reduction cipher. Wow. Michael Brown equates to 93 reverse reduction. H equates to 10 and E equates to 22. Michael equates to 51 in ordinal, and the date 8/9/2014 when added together as 8 plus 9 plus 20 plus 14, that equates to 51. Okay. In the wake of the shooting in the Zionist Mecca of Chicago on East 47th Street, an art exhibit would be opened, paying tribute to the killing of Michael Brown. The truth of the matter was, the art exhibit, which used a plastic dummy, was the real Michael Brown. If you watched the video released of Michael Brown's body being left in the streets of Ferguson for hours the day of the reported killing, taped off and surrounded by police, at the end of the needless display, the body was loaded into the back of a police SUV. Now ask yourself, since when do police haul off human bodies in police SUVs? The answer is they don't, unless they're plastic dummies, which is what Michael Brown was. Again, it serves as a reminder that fake news is often contrived just to work people up for the sake of agenda. On the subject of fake news, let us admire how its gematria pertains to dummies in light of the 84 gematria for Ferguson, Missouri, and Michael Brown. So, fake news equates to 84 in ordinal. Dummies equates to 84 in ordinal as well. Okay. The next race-based shooting to capture the mind's eye of the masses was the killing of 12-year-old Tamir Rice in Cleveland, Ohio, who was holding a toy gun when police pulled up and instantly fired shots at the child after stepping out of the vehicle. This incident came on November 22nd, 2014, the day leaving 39 days left in the year, the 51-year anniversary of the death of JFK, where the Civil Rights Bill was signed 223 days after his own death. They said the killing happened at 3:30 p.m. local time. 3:33. Okay. Cleveland equates to 33. 22, the date 11/22. When you add 11 plus 22 together, that equates to 33. Consider the date of November 22nd, 2014 had numerology of 47, and the words policeman, cop, authority, government, and news all share gematria of 47. As for the name of the child, Tamir Rice, his name equated to 51, 96, and 147, the same as Freemason. Even more, in Satanic Gematria, his name also sums to 411, same as the word Freemason, reminding that JFK was assassinated from 411 Elm Street. It was reported that 26-year-old 26-year-old officer Timothy Loman fired the fatal shot, where the name Timothy has gematria of 38, like the initials TR for Tamir Rice, but the name Rice equates to 26 in reduction, just like the officer Timothy Loman was 26 years old. So, Timothy Loman, and his name is spelled TIMOTHYLOEHMANN. That name, Timothy Loman, equates to 213 in reverse ordinal. Okay. Adding to the riddle of the killing of Tamir Rice, the story came 2 years after 13 Cleveland police officers fired 137 shots. Let me reread that. Adding to the riddle of the killing of Tamir Rice, the story came 2 years after 13 Cleveland police officers fired 137 shots on two homeless black Clevelanders who were living in their car. And I'm going to show you that headline, because I remember this headline as well. And this is, you can see, 137 rounds aimed at car. And we know what 137 is, the 33rd prime. Okay, so, and excuse me, but I'm going to read it one more time so we can keep it moving in context. Adding to the riddle of the killing of Tamir Rice, the story came 2 years after 13 Cleveland police officers fired 137 shots on two homeless black Clevelanders who were living in a car. That took place on November 29th, 2012, what is typically the 333rd day of the year. Of course, 137 is the 33rd prime number and a number symbolizing authority. So, the word homeless equates to 33 in the reduction cipher. Cleveland equates to 33 in reduction. Police equates to 33 in reduction, of course, okay? In the aftermath of the incident, 6 of the 13 officers would be fired, where 13 is the 6th prime number. Recall, if you write out the word 6, it has gematria of 52, the other number commonly symbolizing authority. And the November 29th, 2012 shooting came on a date with numerology of 52. As per usual, the underlying message was don't mess with authority. But in this case, there were some consequences for less than half of the officers. Even still, being fired for murder isn't all that harsh of a punishment. It is not a punishment at freaking all. Consider the word fired also has reduction gematria of 33. The man killed was Timothy Russell, having ordinal gematria of 216, like the Cleveland area code 216. And the woman killed was Melissa Williams, having name gematria of 107, matching the word shooting, as well as reverse ordinal gematria of 223, the 13th Fibonacci number, to go with the 13 officers. Even more, in Chaldean, her name equated to 38, like death, and reminding of T.R. Tamir Rice. Timothy Russell equated to 216 in the ordinal cipher. Bone equates to 216 in Sumerian. Bone is a Cleveland hip-hop group. Melissa Williams equates to 107, reverse reduction. Melissa Williams equates to 233, reverse ordinal. Melissa Williams equates to 38 in Chaldean. The next major racially divisive issue in the news would be the killing of Walter Scott, April 4th, 2015, the 47-year anniversary of the killing of Martin Luther King Jr. 47. Okay. For the record, the number 47 is the 15th prime number, and you should recall that when 15 is written out as a word, it sums to 38, like death, murder, and killing. As for the number 47 itself, it connects to cop and policeman, and this was the killing of an unarmed black man who was shot from behind on the most fitting of dates. In light of him being killed on 4/4, let us not forget that officer and department also share gematria of 44 to go with shooting and kill. Shooting and kill equates to 44. This incident took place in Charleston, South Carolina, just south of the 33rd parallel north, and reportedly at 9:30 a.m., reminding of Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. Let's examine how the name Walter Scott, as well as South Carolina, fits the familiar pattern of 33 in the coding of these racially divisive stories over the years. So, Walter Scott equates to 156 in the ordinal cipher. South Carolina equates to 156 in the ordinal cipher as well. Again, 33, when written out, sums to 156 in ordinal gematria. Also, the number 911 is the 156th prime number. Considering this came on the 47-year anniversary of the killing of Martin Luther King Jr. at age 39, and the location and the victim have name gematria connected to both numbers plus 42. South Carolina equates to 47 in the septenary cipher. Walter Scott equates to 39 in reduction. Walter Scott equates to 42 in the Chaldean cipher. The shooting was blamed on 33-year-old Michael Slager, a Charleston police officer. As you know, the name Michael has reduction gematria of 33 to go with police and corresponding perfectly with the location and victim. His name gematria also yielded familiar numbers. Okay? As we decode, consider the shooting came 224 days before his 34th birthday, November 14th, 2015, which fell on a date with numerology of 33, and law enforcement has reverse ordinal gematria of 224. So, Michael Slager equates to 224 in Frank Baconis. Law enforcement equates to 224 reverse ordinal. Michael Slager equates to 113 in the ordinal cipher. Michael Slager equates to 59 in reduction. Michael Slager equates to 39 in Chaldean. On May 2nd, 2017, a date with numerology of 44, Michael Slager would plead that he was guilty to the killing of Walter Scott. That was also 2 years and 28 days after the reported death, where Martin Luther King Jr. and death share gematria of 228. Further, the date May 2nd can be expressed as 25 or 52, similar to 25 and 52, both being numbers that also symbolize death in gematria terms. So, I want to read that one more time. Further, the date May 2nd can be expressed as 25 or 52, similar to 25 and 52, both being numbers that also symbolize death in gematria terms. In other words, this was all part of a made-for-TV ritual by the Kabbalah Code, which also has much to do with 52, as you know. Following the death of Walter Scott in Charleston would be the death of Freddie Gray in Baltimore. In the case of Freddie Gray, he was arrested April 12, 2015, and would die later in police custody on April 19th. As a reminder, in the year 1861, the Civil War began in Charleston on April 12th, the 102nd day of the year, and the first death came on April 19th, the 109th day of the year, the latter number being connected to military and shooting. In other words, the story of Walter Scott, Freddie Gray, and soon to be Dylan Storm Roof were all contrived propaganda and part of a tribute to history's past and the Civil War, which had much to do with the rights for Black Americans. Let us examine the date numerology of the arrest as well as the death. Okay, so the date was 4/12/2015. 4 plus 12 plus 20 plus 15 equates to 51. Freddie equates to 51 in the ordinal cipher. Gray equates to 51 in ordinal. Conspiracy equates to 51 in reduction. 4/19/2015. 4 plus 19 plus 20 plus 15 equates to 58. 4/19/15. 4 plus 19 plus 15 equates to 38. Thus, the date of the date of the arrest was fitting for Freddie Gray, and the date of death corresponded perfectly with the gematria of death, as well as being part of a ritual conducted by Freemasonry, which controls police, media, and government. Keep in mind, Freddie Gray was said to be 25 years old, another number symbolizing death. Also, let us not forget that the first deaths in the Civil War, which came in Baltimore on April 19, 1861, were the result of gray coats getting in an armed conflict with protesters in Baltimore, and the Freddie Gray killing would soon bring out protesters, rioting, and arson, just as it did in the case of the Michael Brown incident. Let us now further examine the name gematria of Freddie Gray, keeping in mind he was arrested on the 102nd day of the year, and slavery and nigger have gematria of 42 and 102. So, Freddie Gray equates to 102 in the ordinal cipher. Freddie equates to 42 in reduction. Gray equates to 24 in reduction, and 24 is the reflection of 42. And I am going to read this headline here, and then I'll move on to the reading. And it says, here are the terrifying facts about Sandtown. 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 According to U.S. Census tract data, just 42% of residents are employed compared to the national average of 59%. Some BS. Mother mofos. Okay. In the wake of the death of Freddie Gray, headlines such as what is shown to the left that I just read were commonplace, mocking the people of the world who are unaware of the code. The same article with the 42% employment rate headline then goes on to state that the national average is 59%, which I shouldn't have to elaborate on. Consider further that the United States of America is a giant slave ship, with everyone paying excessive taxes on their labor and consumption, all for the sake of the false ones, especially those in Israel, where almost no one works because they are paid for with our contributions that are the product of our economic outputs, just as it is stated it should be in the Talmud. The Goyim works, the Jew benefits. Consider further that while we give tens of millions of dollars each day to Israel, so many neighborhoods in the United States are completely neglected, where people who are part of this community have little opportunity, as the schools are run down, filled with the worst teachers, and once out of the education system, there is practically zero economic opportunity. If, as a nation, we invested in these communities, crime rates would plummet and the quality of life would skyrocket. Of course, it isn't this way because the tyrants make a lot of money off incarcerating people, where when you are a prisoner, you do become even more of a slave, being made to work for pennies on the dollar. All of this is by design, and it is a design that we need to crush when enough people are awake and willing to take the stand that must be taken. As for the officer who hurt Freddie Gray, it was said to be Garrett Miller, the one who applied unnecessary force and who also applied the handcuffs. Let us examine his name gematria to see how it fit the ongoing pattern. So, Miller equates to 33 in reduction. Garrett Miller equates to 193 reverse ordinal, the 44th prime number. Garrett Miller equates to 158 in ordinal. Freemasonry equates to 158 reverse ordinal. Freddie Gray would be buried April 27, 2015, a date with numerology of 46, connecting to the gematria of his name, as well as the word homicide. Let us examine. So, the word homicide equates to 66 in ordinal. Freddie Gray equates to 66 in reduction. The date 4/27/2015. 4 plus 27 plus 20 plus 15 equates to 66. On the subject of 42 and 59, in the time Freddie Gray headlines were still circulating, Liberia would be declared Ebola free May 9th, after 42 days without a new case being reported. And so let me show you the lady that they have there with Ebola free. Okay? And I am going to read the caption underneath the picture. So, it says, a woman smiles as she celebrates Liberia being an Ebola-free nation in Monrovia, Liberia, Saturday, May 9th, 2015. Liberia is now free of Ebola after going 42 days, twice the maximum incubation period for the deadly disease. Without any new cases, the World Health Organization announced on Saturday. Some fucking shit. And excuse my language, but anywho, moving right along. Keep in mind, May has reverse ordinal gematria of 42. This was the same day Tiger Woods would play the worst PGA career round of his life up to that point. I should mention that in Africa, the hateful term for black people is kafir. Kafir or kafir, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it is spelled Kaffir. Kafir or kafir, which has reduction gematria of 33, but when K is counted for 11, it equates to 42, just like nigger, just like the N-word. Okay. For the record, the entire Ebola scare in the media was a contrived hoax, all by the same exact code. If you go back and look at the number of doctors, nurses, and journalists who were mentioned, they were all 33 years old, and as we learned earlier, the word doctor has gematria of 33, and that is in the reverse reduction cipher. Man, this is just some sick stuff. Do they have Ebola? Of course. Did it happen naturally? No. And was it a pandemic? Probably not. And people that were dying from it, they probably killed them, just like they're doing with this coronavirus today. It's just BS. Yes, they have a coronavirus, but they have a patent on these things, so that lets you know it is not being done organically. The stuff is being spread just like HIV has a patent. All this stuff has patents on it, so it's just ridiculous. Moving right along. After the Freddie Gray incident, the contrived racist propaganda would turn to Charleston, playing on the Civil War narrative, where on June 17, 2015, Dylan Stormroof would reportedly kill 9 people at the historic black church located at 110 Calhoun Street. This incident was exactly 74 days, 2 months, and 13 days. 74 days, which is 2 months and 13 days, after the Walter Scott shooting, also in Charleston, April 4th, 2015. Not by chance, the number 74 was coded all over the story, from the shooter's name to the history of the church. As we decode, let us not forget that Masonic and killing have gematria of 74. And as another reminder, it was Morris Brown who established the church, having the same gematria as Christianity in reduction. And it was Clementa C. Pinckney, the state congressman, after the it was Clementa C. Pinckney, the state congressman, named after the powerful slave trading family of the Carolinas in years past, serving Big Brother with his rhetoric by lobbying for a greater police state at the time of his supposed death. My money says he is now retired in Israel, because this shooting was a complete hoax, as evidenced by the fact that the church was open for service the Sunday after the massacre. And for anyone who would say, what about when they showed his body in the casket on the news? My answer is, wax dummies look very real, especially on TV. So, the headline next to here says, Dylan Roof and Michael Slager are cell block neighbors in Charleston jail. So, moving right along. Dylan, Dylann, storm roof equates to 74 in reduction. White supremacist equates to 74 reduction. Active shooter equates to 74 in reverse reduction. Calhoun equates to 74 in ordinal. Morris Brown equates to 74 reduction, S counted as 10. Bible study class equates to 74 in reduction, S counted as 10. Clementa say it ain't so, C Pinckney. Clementa C Pinckney equates to 74 in reduction. As for Roof, shooting up Bible study class, which also has reduction gematria of 47, just the same as Christian, and coming on the back of the killing of Walter Scott on the 47-year anniversary of the killing of the Christian minister Martin Luther King Jr., it should be noted that June 17 is the day that leaves 197 days left in the year, which is the 45th prime number, where Holy Bible has reduction and reverse reduction gematria of 45. Let us not forget it was Debbie Deals having reduction gematria of 47 who spotted Storm Roof driving on I-74 after the incident, and who seemed very unsure of herself when she went before television cameras, as so many crisis actors do. I should also mention that Dylan Storm Roof sums to 47 in the septenary cipher, and Dylan Roof equates to 47 in reverse reduction. It's just crazy. Jurors find Dylan Roof guilty of all 33 counts in hate crime shootings at South Carolina church. Another important point is that Dylan Storm Roof is said to have an April 3rd, 1994 birthday, which is the 93rd day of the year, a number that goes without saying. When he was arrested, it was in Shelby, North Carolina, also having reduction gematria of 93, a number you can understand why they doubled up on in light of a black church being shot up. At the time, April 3rd or 4-3, at the same time, April 3rd or 4-3 is reminiscent of 43, the number symbolizing Charleston and Civil War. On December 15, 2016, a date with numerology of 43, Storm Roof would be convicted of all 33 federal hate crime charges. In other words, the riddles were in place, and the mocking was as thick as ever, and the number symbolizing race war right at the center. So the date, 12/15/16, you would add 12 plus 15 plus 16 equates to 43. Hate crime equates to 52 in reduction. Dylan Roof equates to 52. Dylan Roof equates to 52 in reduction, and Charleston equates to 52 reduction, S counted as 10. I should mention that 9 days after the shooting, where 9 people were reportedly killed, the nation's first black president would attend the funeral of the deceased, where the wax dummies were on display. Please don't forget that when 9 is written out as a word, it sums to 42. And when 42 is written out as a word, it sums to 142. In this case, the name President Obama also sums to 142, something that goes without saying at this point. Personally, I would like to have asked Obama if he minded wearing the nigger label as the first president by his Zionist owners, which he served so proudly. For the record, his puppet name also has a second connection to 42 as well. Barack Obama, when you add his when you do his decode, and I'm going to show you that in a second. Let me get back to my place here. I want to highlight it so you can see, because I am so sick of these people, and they know this code, and they're doing this shit on purpose. And so just look at the decode for Barack Obama. See? His name equates to 181. 181 is the 42nd prime number. 42nd prime number. I tell you. And for one last point on the church shooting, if you go back and watch the news footage from the day of, the fire truck parked in front of the building was number 106, and on its rear it had a Tea Party flag, which was a curious detail considering the political Tea Party movement of recent years was known to be racist and predominantly white. Sadly, these details were to pay tribute to September 15, 1963, 16th Street Baptist Church bombing of Birmingham, Alabama, a location having multiple gematria overlap with African American. Also consider that New Testament and Scottish Rite have gematria of 159, like 15:9. 16 written as a word equates to 33 in reduction. Race war equates to 33 in reduction. Tea Party equates to 106. The date 9/15/1963. You add 9 plus 15 plus 19 plus 63 equates to 106. Less than a month after the Charleston church shooting, July 13th or 13/7, the hanging of Sandy Bland in a Waller County, Texas jail cell would overtake the news. Of course, the name Sandy Bland equates to 33 in reduction gematria, tying in with the date that is much like 137. In other words, it was more race war propaganda by the numbers that had little rhyme and reason. I should also mention that the name Bland has gematria of 33, 59, and 102, not unlike the nickname Magic. Sandy Bland equates to 33. Bland equates to 33. Bland equates to 102. And Bland equates to 59 in the Francis Bacon cipher. And I will show you the decodes here just a second, and I'll just highlight it so you can see. And let me see, Sandy Bland 33. I will tell you what Sandy Bland equates to. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so yeah, so Sandy Bland equates to 33 in the reduction cipher, and he didn't put the reduction there, but anyway, but that is the decode of Sandy Bland in the different names. Alrighty, so moving right along. Oh, let me plug up my tablet before it goes dead. I thought I plugged it back in. Okay, moving right along. On August 26th, 2015. August 26th, that's my birthday. Okay, on August 26th, 2015, the next racially divisive incident would transpire, which was the hoax shooting of news lady Allison Parker and cameraman Adam Ward in Roanoke, Virginia, a town that is no stranger to shooting fictional stories such as What About Bob? In this instance, it was the disgruntled former employee Vester Lee Flanagan II, a name that spells bullshit, who happened to be black and who had returned to get vengeance on the white blonde lady and her white cameraman. Of course, the date of this racially charged propaganda had a life lesson number of 42, connecting with this being a TV related shooting. Okay, so the date 8/26/2015, you add 8 plus 26 plus 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 5, that equates to 42. And TV equates to 42 as well. And let me tell you what TV equates to 42 in what cipher. So TV equates to 42 in the ordinal cipher, English ordinal. All right, I'll save the decoding of the names involved for you. I'm sure you can imagine the numbers within already. What is worth noting is that Roanoke is on the 79th meridian west and has ordinal gematria of 79, the number corresponding with murder, where this was a murder narrative, no more real than an episode of Murder, She Wrote. If you've never seen the footage of this hoax, please go back and watch, and as you do, ask yourself how anyone is taking the news media seriously at this day and age. Video shows LA cops pumping bullets into crawling man. On December 13th, 2015, another divisive story would transpire at the hands of the LAPD. By very familiar numbers, it was reported on this date, having a life lesson number of 33, that a young black man had been shot 33 times on the 33rd parallel in Compton. The reports of the details were conflicting, some stating that he had a weapon and others saying he did not. I specifically remember CNN's footage showing the young man walking down the street unarmed, but when he was crawling on the ground, magically a .45 appeared in his hand, looking like an amateur Photoshop. So I'm going to read that headline that was right next to here. A graphic cell phone video of the incident appears to show two officers firing as many as 33 times at the suspect, reports CBS News' Chris Martinez. Early in their confrontation, Robertson falls to the ground, and after a short interval, he is seen crawling on his stomach as he is repeatedly struck by additional gunfire from police. Some crazy shit. So, the date 12/13/2015 equates, you add 12 plus 13 plus 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 5, that equates to 33. Compton equates to 33 in reduction. Let us examine the name of the victim, Nicholas Robertson, in light of the reports of the .45 being on his person. As we decode, keep in mind LA has gematria of 13 and 13 has gematria of 45 when 13 is written as a word. Nicholas equates to 45 reverse reduction. Robertson equates to 45 in reduction. So, it is crazy. I'm not going to say whether these people are shot or not. These are something you have to make up your own idea whether they are or not. And in my opinion, he probably was shot. And he probably just singled him out because he had the right gematria for everything. But a lot of the stuff that they do by this code are hoaxes. It just is. But a lot of the stuff that they do by the code is real but don't make the news. And I've seen that quite a few times since I know this code. Anyway, moving right along. Louisiana governor signs Blue Lives Matter bill. Over the course of the next year, there would be countless stories fueling the race war narrative, including the killings of teenagers Ronald Johnson and Laquan McDonald by Chicago police. Ronald McDonald. Okay. Here we go. Where things really began to escalate, however, was in the wake of the July 6th, 2016 news of the killing of Alton Sterling in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which had taken place a day prior, July 5th, and then later that same day, July 6th, the killing of Philando Castile in Falcon Heights, Minnesota. In both of these instances, the media had footage of the killings, which were contrived and meant to provoke, as always is the case. In the first video released, it showed two Baton Rouge police holding down 37-year-old Alton Sterling, and then firing fatal shots at point-blank range. Let us decode the name Alton Sterling as well as Blue Lives Matter, because on May 26, 2016, the 147th day of 2016, Louisiana became the first state to sign the Blue Lives Matter bill, which is a bill that creates harsher sentencing for those who commit crimes against police, and which also provides funding for more body armor and higher powered weapons. In the language of the bill, it says it is intended to counter Black Lives Matter protesters, mother suckers. Anyway, Alton Sterling equates to 58 reduction. Blue Lives Matter equates to 58 in reduction. The date 5/26/16. When you add it together, 5 plus 26 plus 16, it equates to 47. Policeman equates to 47. Reverse reduction, and cop equates to 47. Reverse ordinal. Authority equates to 47 in reduction. Let us also remind ourselves of the significance of 147 in regards to police, keeping in mind its connection to Freemason and conspiracy, as well as 47th written as a word. Further, let's see what it has to do with the word black man, since Blue Lives Matter was created to counter Black Lives Matter on the 147th day of the year. So, police equates to 147 Jewish gematria. Black man equates to 147 English extended. Let us also decode the name Philando Castile in light of the gematria of Blue Lives Matter. Consider that these two stories came on July 6th, which can be written 6/7, and they occurred in Louisiana and Minnesota, which are states each having gematria of 38 connecting to death and 47 connecting to policeman and cop as well as authority. Thus, the gematria was right for the ritual that was. So, Philando, Philando, Castile, Castile, equates to 67 in reduction. Blue Lives Matter equates to 67 in reduction. S counted as 10. The officers responsible for the killing of Alton Sterling were Howie Lake II and Blaine Salamone, and the officer who fatally shot Philando Castile was Geronimo Yanez. Notice how their name gematria overlaps with the cities the shootings happened in and the term of law enforcement. Okay, so law enforcement equates to 64 in reduction. Howie Lake II equates to 64 reverse reduction. Howie, Howie. Okay. Blaine Salamone. Salamone is spelled Salamoni. So Blaine Salamone equates to 46 in reduction. Baton Rouge equates to 46 in reduction. Geronimo Yanez, Yanez, and Geronimo is spelled Jeronimo. Last name Yanez, Yanez. That equates to 64 reverse reduction, and Falcon Heights equates to 64 in reduction. This is some BS. Okay, I'm going to read this headline. NYPD officer Rafael Ramos saw streets as his ministry. Yeah, right. Okay, now I'm continuing reading. Consider the roots of the Blue Lives Matter bill to protect law enforcement. Man, was in the hoax killings of NYPD officers Rafael Ramos and Wen Jane Liu. So I need to spell these names. Rafael Ramos is Rafael Ramos, and you probably knew how to spell that already. But the second name, Wenjianliu. Okay, so I'm gonna reread this. Consider the roots of the Blue Lives Matter bill to protect law enforcement was in the hoax killings of NYPD officers Rafael Ramos and Wen Jane Liu in Brooklyn, New York, December 20th, 2014. Let us examine the names and the date of the killings, where both of these cops were described as heroes. As we decode, keep in mind that Brooklyn, New York has ordinal gematria of 223, the number important to Masonry and the false Jews. Also, I encourage you to go back and look at the images put out of these officers with green backgrounds and in plain clothes, nearly indicating the images and names were contrived. 12/20/14. The date. So 12 plus 20 plus 14 equates to 46. Hero equates to 46 in ordinal. Sacrifice equates to 46 in reduction. Rafael Ramos equates to 46 in reduction. Ministry equates to 46 in reduction. Wen Jane Liu equates to 46 in reduction as well. What else do you need to see here? This is freaking ridiculous. It is just crazy. On July 7th, 2016, there would be a retaliation killing at a Black Lives Matter rally in Dallas, Texas, where it was reported 5 officers were murdered and 9 injured, similar to the number 59. The day after the event, the accused shooter was said to be Micah Xavier Johnson, born July 2nd, 1991, making him 25 years old at the time of the incident, matching the reduction gematria of Micah and also being a number connected to death. As for his full name, it had reduction gematria of 91, like his year of birth, which is the 13th triangular number, corresponding with the reduction gematria of Dallas, equating to 13. In news headlines, it was stated this was the greatest loss of life for any police department in one day since September 11th, which, as you learn, has reduction gematria of 77, similar to the date of the shooting, July 7th or 7/7. Also, as a reminder, police officer and police department share gematria of 77. Thus, the date was right for the contrived propaganda by the numbers, which is exactly what it was. Even more, they stated the shooting was at 8:58 p.m. local, and police department also shares gematria of 85. For the weeks that followed, the headlines would focus on the numerous states now considering signing the Blue Lives Matter legislation. For those with eyes to see, it wasn't hard to put two and two together. Just one day prior, out of nowhere, the media had two videos of police needlessly killing black men on camera. Then the next day there was a Black Lives Matter protest put together in Dallas, the city with ordinal gematria of 49, the number that has the close relationship with 77, symbolizing police department and police officer, where a retaliation killing would happen. So, 77 written as a word equates to 49 in reduction. Dallas equates to 49 in ordinal. America equates to 49 reverse reduction. United States equates to 77 in reverse reduction. Washington equates to 49 in reduction. Washington, D.C. is on the 77th meridian west. Adding insult to injury was the image the media released of Micah Xavier Johnson giving the Black Power fist salute. Notice in the image put out by the media above his right bicep is the word colors, and just to the side of his head are the numbers 4484. As you know, shooting and kill have gematria of 44, and the divisors of 44 sum to 84. Consider, at the time of this shooting, we had the 44th president, the first black president, having the last name Obama, which equates to 84 in Jewish gematria. The symbolism couldn't have been any more clear, especially for the person knowing the code, which the propaganda is contrived by. And I am going to show you that picture so you can see what this propaganda piece is about. And that is the story with the young man, and of course you can see hopefully the word colors and the 4484 numbers in this picture. It is just some BS that be going on. Okay. Now, the next incident would come 10 days later, again in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. This time it was 29-year-old shooter Gavin Long, who had an online website promoting Black Power titled Convos with Cosmos. And I'm going to show you this young man right now, the picture of him. Oh, let me unplug my tablet here. Okay, so this is the next shooter, okay, with his hand in the pyramid. Alright, let's go ahead and let's see what this story is going to entail. Okay, so again, the next incident would come 10 days later, again in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. This time it was 29-year-old shooter Gavin Long, who had an online website promoting Black Power titled Convos with Cosmo. For his 29th birthday, July 17th, 2016, a date with a life lesson number of 33. He decided to go out by killing 3 police, at least according to reports, before having his own life taken, reportedly by suicide. Let us examine the date of the shooting, the word birthday, as well as his name and his site, Convos with Cosmos, in light of the popular Black Lives Matter chant, which is hands up, don't shoot. Okay, so the word birthday equates to 42 in reduction. The date 7/17/2016, 7 plus 17 plus 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 6 equates to 33. Gavin Long equates to 142 in reverse ordinal. 42 written out as a word equates to 142 in ordinal. President Obama equates to 142 in ordinal. Black Lives Matter equates to 142 reverse reduction. E counted as 22. Convos with Cosmos equates to 213 in ordinal. Hands up, don't shoot equates to 213 in ordinal. Hands up, don't shoot equates to 93 in reduction. H counted as 10. Black Lives Matter equates to 33 in reduction. Gunmen called police shootings a necessary evil in a suicide note. Yes, I'm sure he did. Notice this reporting from the New York Times, nearly 1 year after the shooting, June 30th, 2017. The emphasized phrase is not coincidental, and I'm going to show you that that necessary evil is emphasized. Okay, so that headline, and when you see necessary evil with the quotation marks there, that is where your gematria is. Okay, and here we go. All right, let us examine how it reveals that this shooting was all part of the Blue Lives Matter agenda. As we decode, keep in mind the shooter's full name was reported as Gavin Eugene Long, which is the focus of this same article. You are more than welcome to look up. So, the phrase necessary evil equates to 77 reverse reduction. Police officer equates to 77 in reduction. Gavin Eugene Long equates to 77 in reduction. And necessary evil equates to 58 in reduction. Blue Lives Matter equates to 58 in reduction. And as for Gavin Eugene Long equating to 77 in reduction, the shooting took place on July 7th. Wow. Not long after the Gavin Long shooting, the next race-based narrative would occur in Tulsa, Oklahoma, 95 years after the Negro Wall Street riots of the same city, which happened on the 95th Meridian West, and which transpired May 31st through June 1st, 1921, where June 1st leaves 213 days left in the year, corresponding with Black History Month and more. Not by chance, Tulsa, Oklahoma equates to 59 in gematria, the reflection of 95. In this more recent incident, it was the story of a black man named Terrence Crutcher, who had his car break down on the highway September 16th, 2016, and as a result, he called the police for assistance. When the police arrived, however, instead of helping him, they shot and killed him. In the media, it was reported that Crutcher had just celebrated his 40th birthday one month earlier, August 16th, and had recently enrolled in college where he intended on earning a degree. Of course, all of these details were to add to the fictional narrative meant to pull at the heartstrings of the people who were fed up of these stories of these needless police killings, but who at the same time wouldn't see anything done about it because this is a Freemasonic nation where the police are the henchmen of the tyrants who control the courts, who permit the wrongdoing, and not by accident. As for the date mentioned, August 16th, it is the 228th day of the year, leaving 137 days remaining. Numbers you know. And of course, 137 is the 33rd prime. Let us now decode the name Terence Crutcher to see how this fake story paid tribute to the race riots of 95 years earlier, plus more. So, Terence Crutcher equates to 95, reverse reduction, H counted as 10. Terence Crutcher equates to 59 and called D-N, and Crutcher equates to 42 in reduction. Wow. The date of the shooting, September 16th, is also the day that leaves 106 days left in the year, being the 259th day in the year. Okay, did I read that right? The date of the shooting, September 6th, is also the day that leaves, 106 days left in the year, being the 259th day of the year. Emphasis on 59 in that number sequence. Just 4 days later, September 20th, there would be a shooting in Charlotte, North Carolina, having reduction gematria of 106, which would lead to more race riots, and not coincidentally. Further, consider September 20th was the day leaving 102 days left in the year, and Charlotte has ordinal gematria of 102. Active truth seekers in Charlotte area captured the fact that buses of protesters were driven into the city to start the rioting, meaning the people participating were paid to be there. It was a planned action, which is always the case when it is an event covered by the media, which only reports on contrived propaganda without exception. Whew. She shot and killed an unarmed black man. Now this white Tulsa officer is telling her side. Okay, before we get deeper into the Charlotte shooting, I want to examine this headline from April 2nd, 2017, 4/2, April 2nd, in regards to the Terence Crutcher killing, to further cement the point of how the media operates by the code, which is based in racism and hate. For the record, this story was put out by the Washington Post and was released a date on a date. For the record, this story was put out by the Washington Post and was released on a date with numerology of 43, connecting to the gematria of Civil War, Masonic, and killing. Another interesting note is that if you write out 42, it has reduction gematria of 43. 46 days after the article, or a span of 47 days, the same officer would be acquitted of any wrongdoing. The date was May 18th, 2017, the 138th day of the year, connecting to federal, and the day also leaving 227 days left in the year, connected to pi, cycles, and circles. It was also a date with a life lesson number of 33 in numerology, and adding to the numerical ritual, her name was Betty Shelby, or short for BS. Betty Shelby equates to 44 in reduction. Officer equates to 44 in reduction. Shooting equates to 44 in reduction. Also, before moving on to the Charlotte killing, I want to address how CNN used their investigative journalist Sarah Seidner, Sarasidner, Sarah Seidner, who was 44 years old at the time, to travel to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and tell the story of the Tulsa race riots that began May 31st, 1921, in the wake of the Crutcher killing. This was comical because Sarah Seidner was born May 31st, 1972, on the 51-year anniversary of the event, and she was a journalist who gained her fame with CNN by covering the contrived race riots in Ferguson in the wake of the Michael Brown killing, taking a prop stone, not a real one, off her head during the made-for-TV coverage. Notice how her age was perfect for the planned event, and consider that CNN broadcast from Atlanta, Georgia on the 33rd parallel north and 84th meridian west. So, race riot equates to 44 in reduction. Georgia equates to 44 in reduction. Ted Turner equates to 44 in reduction. Race riot 89. Michael Brown killing was 8/9, August 9th. Race riot equates to 33. Septenary, okay, race riot 33 in the septenary cipher. Seidner equates to 33 in reduction. Sarah Seidner, boy, I tell you. For the record, the date the Negro Wall Street riots began in 1921 had the perfect numerology, reminding it was then as it was now. Consider in reverse ordinal gematria, Negro, slave, and blues all share gematria of 76. And so the date 5/31/1921, when you add 5 plus 31 plus 19 plus 21, that equates to 76. Moving into the killing of 43-year-old Keith Lamont Scott, September 20th, 2016. This incident was directly connected to the last contrived propaganda as mentioned. What was different in this story was a black police officer was responsible for the killing of Brentley Vinson. According to the police, they mistook Scott. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm messing that up. Moving on to the killing of 43-year-old Keith Lamont Scott, September 20th, 2016. This incident was directly connected to the last contrived propaganda as mentioned. What was different in this story was a black police officer was responsible for the killing. His name is Brentley Vinson. According to the police, they mistook Scott for a different man, but shot him when they saw him taking a gun from his vehicle. Fucking liars. Scott's sister said this was a lie, however, and Scott was only carrying a book. Fitting that book has ordinal gematria of 43, matching the age of his death. Let us examine the name of the officer as well as the name of the man reported killed, knowing that fraternal order of police and nigger all share gematria of 119. So, Keith Lamont Scott equates to 119, reverse reduction. H equates to 10, and E counted as 22. Vincent equals 119 in Francis Bacon. Vincent equals 93 in ordinal. Vincent equals 33 reverse reduction. Vincent equals 303 in satanic. Brentley Vincent equates to 76. Negro equals 76 in reverse ordinal. So this is crazy. On November 30th, 2016, a date with numerology of 77, the officer would be found to have committed no wrongdoing. This was precisely 71 days after the shooting, corresponding with the gematria of African America. So let me see, African American, or is that African America? Yeah, that should read African American. And African American is 71 in the in the reduction cipher. So, like I said, this was precisely 71 days after the shooting, corresponding with the gematria of African American. So the date was 11/30/2016. 11 plus 30 plus 20 plus 16 equates to 77. Police officer equates to 77 in reduction, and police department equates to 77 in reduction. So I'm going to read this little headline right here. It says, police have asked the public for their help identifying a man in connection with the shooting. Initially, police described a slim black man in his 20s or 30s, with a hoodie and baggy pants as a suspect. Later, police say they were seeking to identify that man in connection with the shooting, but didn't call him a suspect. Additionally, police were looking for a black Mitsubishi Galant with chrome rims and tinted windows. Yeah. Also worth mentioning, the date of the killing had numerology of 38, corresponding with the words death, murder, and killing. Very repetitive. In terms of the black race, the words Africa, Jamaica, and nigga, N-I-G-G-A, all share gematria of 38 as well. In the history of suspicious black celebrity deaths, this number has proven to be very faithful, as we'll soon get to. It also factors into the next race-based story we'll now uncover, which took place November 20th, 2016, when supposedly a slim black man in a black sedan pulled up outside of the San Antonio Police Department and fatally shot a 20-year-old officer. As we decode, keep in mind that November 20th is the day, leaving 41 days left in the year. So, slim black man equates to 38 in reduction. San Antonio equates to 41 in reduction. San Antonio equates to 58 reverse reduction. The date 11/20/16. 11 plus 20 plus 16 equates to 47. The next day, November 21st, 2016, the world would be told of a Chattanooga, Tennessee bus crash where the supposed driver was a young black male heavily under the influence of drugs and alcohol. This story was a complete fiction and was contrived for the simple purpose of spreading more racial animosity. On November 22nd, the media would release the story of the first child victim, a young black boy. Demyun, D-M-Y-U-N-N, Demyun Brown, with the initials DB, the fourth letter, and the second letter, 42. You motherfuckers. The story also features quotes from his mother, Diamond Brown. Let us examine the date numerology of the story and location while keeping in mind the gematria of bus and boy both being 42. So Chattanooga equates to 42 in reduction. The date of the incident 11/22/2016. So 11 plus 22 plus 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 6, that equates to 42. As for the name of the child, the Mayan Brown, it had ordinal gematria of 163, the 38th prime number connecting to death. In regards to the mother, the name Diamond Brown equates to 60 in reduction, matching the ordinal value of nigger. Also, the name Diamond alone has gematria of 33, corresponding with the reverse ordinal gematria of Tennessee, which is 137, the 33rd prime. The numbers 33 and 38 also corresponded with the name of the bus driver, Jonathan Walker. A name reminding of Johnny Walker Scotch, and that's exactly right. Jonathan Walker. Motherfucker. Shit. Jonathan Walker. A name reminding of Johnny Walker Scotch, where prohibition ended in 33 by the numbers. As we decode, keep in mind that Jonathan Walker would be sentenced to prison on March 8 or 3/8 or 8/3 for the wrongful deaths of 6 children. So the name Jonathan, Johnthony, Walker, and his name equates to 59 in the Chaldean cipher. And Jonathan by itself equates to 33 in reverse reduction. Walker equates to 38 in reduction. So, with that said, I am going to end my reading. This is the second reading of chapter 18. I hope you will get the book. I hope you'll read this information. You know, you make up your own mind. I can't tell you what to believe in and what to do, but this evidence, in my mind, I mean, hey, it is what it is, and they are using this code, and it's just crazy. But anyway, you guys enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will try to do another reading tomorrow sometime, or maybe later this evening. But anyway, get the book Letters and Numbers. Get the book Number Games, written by Zachary K. Hubbard. The information is priceless. The information is true because it's written down and is by the dates, and they choose people with the proper gematria in their names. It doesn't mean that your name can't equate to whatever some of these numbers are. I mean, we live in America, so our names are has numerical values because of gematria. But when it comes to the powers that shouldn't be and the people that are in control, they choose numbers. They choose people for the proper gematria. They have to have the proper gematria to be a part of any of this stuff, whether it's real or fake. You know, they kill by the numbers. They do everything they do by these numbers, and they make people hate each other by this code. So as long as you understand that, just get a good understanding of what this information is. And on that note, I am gone, and you guys have a good evening again. Bye-bye.